Your dopamine addiction is ruining your life. I promise you. Listen, we all love dopamine. That's the whole thing. That's why we overshop. That's why we overeat. That's why we screen time because it's a dopamine, right? Dopamine is literally like a drug. It really is, right? So think about if you're really stressed out, right? You're really stressed out and you go, oh my God, I got to go buy something, right? Oh my God, I'm definitely like guilty of that multiple times in my life. And you go and you buy it and it's like it feels good. And it's not like you get this instant rush. Sometimes you can, depending on what it is. Yes, sometimes you can. But you're like, oh God, yeah, I feel better. It's almost like you were like, oh my God, I just got a burst of it. And then what happens is sometimes you'll crash and then you do the, oh my God, why'd I buy that? Now we go into buyer's remorse. Now you're like, oh my God, I got to take that back, right? That's just one example. It's the same thing of eating. It's the same thing of your screen addiction. Now, screen addiction is a very real thing. It is scientifically proven. It is demonstrated by the brain on how your brain reacts, which is why you're looking for those instant hits, right? We want to feel good. We want to feel good all the time. But remember, a dopamine hit, dopamine doesn't live here all the time. There's nothing you can do where you're just going to live in your dopamine, right? It's meant to cycle. And so what happens is it's ruining your life because you're spending excess time on socials, right? Excess time. I'm down to 5 to 7 minutes of unnecessary scrolling, and I haven't even done that this past week. Like intentional things, like if I'm looking for things, if I'm on YouTube, if I'm looking up something, if I've saved a recipe, sure, yeah, I'll do that. But unnecessary scrolling because it's giving you this constant dopamine hit, and then you're constantly going to seek it, just like everything else. You're going to want more, and you're going to want more, and you're going to want more. So it's kind of like, too, if you start dating and you're dating like 3 people, right? In the beginning, you're like, oh my God, this is great. I'm dating like 3 people. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm dating 3 people. How can I keep everybody? And like, oh my God, it's just so much. So it's ruining your life because you keep seeking that feeling, right? We all want to feel good, baby. We all want to feel good. We want our serotonin up. We want our dopamine up. We want everything to feel good within our body, right? And the dopamine itself, it's the feel good, right? But that's not a way to live because you're going to constantly seek it. That's why people who have different disorders where they have to use different things, they have to have more of it. They have to have more of it. They have to have more of it. And then you keep chasing it. And as you keep chasing it, not only can it be a little risky, but it's going to burn you out. And it's kind of like, you ever figure, like, you ever look at yourself and go, God, I never feel satisfied. Like, I like it. Like, let's say you're like, oh my God, I got the new car. You're like, oh my God, I got my new car. It's great. And then you're like, okay, now what? Now what? Oh, let's get a new house. Oh, now you get a new house. Oh, yay, got a new house. I'm decorating. Oh my God, it's great. Got this, got that. Okay, now what? Let's go on a trip. Okay. So you're always chasing that hit. And by the way, dopamine's very important. Like, dopamine's a great, great thing. It's just anything in excess can be too much. So when you overshoot that dopamine, you're always going to find yourself feeling ungrateful, right? Because you will. You'll say you're grateful, but you will get ungrateful. You'll feel unsatisfied. And people may be like, my God, I can't satisfy that person. Now take you out of it. Have you ever meet somebody who's like, they're just not ever satisfied? It's just never enough. And you're like, my God, I am running out of things to give you, to talk to you about. I'm running out, right? Those are the things to keep into consideration because it will ruin your life because it's going to be something that if you don't have it, you're going to think that you're depressed. But just because you don't have that dopamine doesn't mean you're depressed. But I will tell you this. If you have, in fact, kept chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing this dopamine, and then that dopamine disappears, yes, then you start going, oh my God, because you're left with yourself, right? You're left with yourself. And you have to realize everything is yin and yang. Yin and yang. Everything has to happen in equal measure. Some days you're going to have more dopamine. Some days you're going to have less dopamine, right? And as you keep chasing it, it is going to become problematic because in the times that you don't have it, you're going to feel like you have to seek it and you don't. And so this is where you have to get comfortable with let's say that this is a bar. Let's say that this is a bar. And in this bar, this is let's say neutral, like you're neutral. You're not flat or anything. You're just neutral. You're in a neutral mood. This is a little hypomania. This is manic. right? This is depressed and this is severely depressed. Now, we're not going to use those words, but I use this as a bar a lot when I'm explaining people's emotions. So now let's use this same bar for dopamine, okay? This is where you're like, get up today. Just average. This bar here is where you're like, wow, I got a little bit of a dopamine hit. This is when you really have a dopamine hit. You are living flying high, not manic, just again, dopamine bar. But I just wanted to show you with the other bar. You're like, woo. Okay, so now dopamine doesn't live there forever. Dopamine is a hit, a rush, and then you're going to go down here. Well, now even this, which is neutral, starts to feel like this, but it isn't. But sometimes if you don't have it, you feel like you're here. And it can become a mood issue, right? Which is the whole reason why, SSRIs and stuff are done on serotonin. So serotonin and dopamine together, those make you very, very happy. So I get and understand chasing it and seeking it. It's a beautiful thing, but it does come in equal measure. So it's about being okay here, right? Now that's on any bar. If we're using this bar for mania, depression, this is a bar that you want to goal towards. If it's dopamine, serotonin, all of these amazing things up here, this is what you're goaling for with little bumps up here. So it's about asking yourself, what are you trying to fill? So this is where I need you to get, and tell me in the comments too, what are you trying to fill, right? We know the dopamine's great. We know the dopamine feels good. Oh my God, it's amazing. Love it. Why is this not okay for you? Why is not having that dopamine hit not okay for you, right? And this is where you really want to focus. This is where work is done. Here and here is where your work is really done. Because up here in either one of those bar scenarios, you're not going to do any work up here. This just feels good. You're like, woo, flying high. This, though, is what you goal for. So if you find yourself living here, your main goal is here with a bump up here. So when you don't have that dopamine hit, when you are, a matter of fact, Lewis Hamilton I was watching his Insta story. I follow him on the gram. And he said he was just in his headspace and he wanted to go buy something. He was like running on the beach and it was like in writing. And he said he knew because he wanted to go buy something. He knew he had to do something else that was going to be more beneficial for him. So he started to go for a light jog on the beach instead of shopping. Now, this doesn't mean don't ever shop. Don't get black and white on me. Don't be like, oh my God, I can never shop. Oh my God, I can never have fun. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying know why you're doing it. If you're like, wow, I want to go out and you've intentionally said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy me this new shirt. I'm really excited about buying this shirt. Oh my God, go have fun. Buy a shirt. Try on 50 of them. Buy it. Have a great time. But what are you seeking from that dopamine hit that you're not getting, that you feel that you have to have so you can avoid those deeper emotions? Because that is why we seek our dopamine hit. Because it feels good. I get it. It feels lovely. Me and Amazon guy in love with each other. Me UPS guy because of Amazon in love with each other. I've gotten a lot better with it. Now I buy things intentionally and I do buy a lot of stuff on Amazon like cat litter and things like that, but with intention. But I really want you to check yourself because your dopamine rush, you don't need to be on your socials unnecessarily all day long. You don't. Don't tell me that's my socialization. Stop making excuses. Give yourself, I used to do 30 minutes of unnecessary scrolling. I'm down to 7 minutes, which I haven't even really done the last couple of days. It's okay to save things. Go to your Pinterest board, look at new projects, save things. That's different. Research is different than scrolling. Scrolling is just, I'm laying here to avoid my life. Ha ha ha, that's a funny dance. Ha ha ha, look at this. That is a dopamine hit that you're getting, which is also why you don't do that if you can't sleep, because it's going to keep you awake. So I want you to go a little bit deeper and be mindful. When you feel the need to get that dopamine hit, it's your body and your mind telling you something else. There's a part of you that's screaming out for something else. Don't avoid it, right? For so long, you felt like you weren't heard. For so long, you felt like you were being avoided. For so long, okay? You cannot do that. You have to be the person that you never felt that you had. You have to be the person inner child wise to provide that for yourself. You have to be. You have to be. And the only way to do that is to pump your brakes on seeking and searching that dopamine hit all the time. Get it, love it, and you'll appreciate it more. You'll be able to stay in the present moment, and you're not using that dopamine hit to avoid yourself. Because when we're over shopping, when we're overeating, when we're over scrolling, when we're doing that, we are avoiding ourselves. It is not going to go away. The gray elephant doesn't disappear. So you have to get very clear and ask yourself, what is it that you're really trying to avoid? And focus there.